Good morning. It is almost 11 o'clock and we're starting the vlog. It's very rainy outside today, so I figured I would finish this up because I got to the halfway point last night. I also really want to dabble in perfume. I know there's a movie on this and I want to watch it, but also I think the concept of it's really cool. It's about a man who, from my impression or understanding, is a serial killer and he turns women into perfume because you need fat rendered to make perfume. So I think it's a really icky, interesting concept for a book. I got this at the Goodwill of all places and I really want to read it. That's the vibe. I know I need to do today, one of my goals is to make a big chunk in notes on an execution because I'm filming a review for that on Sunday with Kristen. So that's the three books that I think we're going to focus on. I'm sure I'm going to listen to some audiobooks in between. I'm sure I'm going to roll some B-roll here, so enjoy me reading. It's almost noon. I finished PTSD Radio, the second Nimbus. Sorry, that was upside down. Listen, the vibes, they're great. I don't know what's happening. There's no plot. You just have to go into it and want spooky vibes. And I think that's okay. Unless there's some deeper underlying theme that I'm missing, which as soon as I finish all of these, I'm going to go on a deep dive on YouTube, Reddit, wherever I can to try to figure out what these are about. And I know it's not a finished series. I just don't know what's happening. They seem like an interconnected horror anthology. I'm gonna go start on notes on an execution, but thought I would let you know my thoughts on this since it's done. I'll probably end up picking up the third Nimbus this weekend if Barnes and Noble has it, so you might be seeing that in the next couple weeks or something if they don't. I am headed to work right now. I haven't recorded a whole lot of clips, so I thought while I am driving, since I don't listen to music in the car, this would be a perfect opportunity to talk about some of the stuff I read. I think this morning I was really tired. I don't quite remember, but I read The Demon Court, and I have come to learn that it's about the seven deadly sins, but like incarnate. And they have their own kingdoms, but they can put off their own like ambiance. This book specifically that I am reading is following lust, so I don't know. It's okay. It's not my favorite, but it's cute. I officially DNF'd the Neil deGrasse Tyson. I don't know. I was told by Kristen that I was saying it incorrectly. Book. It's just not doing it for me. It's not giving what I want. So I just DNF'd it about 30% of the way through the audiobook. I don't know. If you like those types of books, it might be for you. It just wasn't for me. I don't think it was like an objectively bad book, but it wasn't for me. And then the last order of business is notes on an execution. I got to 58% according to my Kindle on my way home. I got to 58% according to my Kindle that I read today. And I don't know, I have some mixed feelings about it. It's interesting. I like the multiple perspectives. I don't like how when it swaps to a chapter of like a different woman, the chapters are really long. I read a chapter that was 45 minutes long. That's a bit much for me personally, but the overall structure, I was concerned when I was going to read it because it's about somebody on death row that it was going to be following the main character, like the person on death row, and it would not focus enough on the victims, and that's the opposite of what is happening, which I like. I do feel as though it's relatively predictable. I'm saying that now. Maybe there'll be a twist, but so far there's no twists that have really like astounded me. Everything's like you can kind of like see it come, not like see it coming, but you can put it all together pretty easily. So I feel like if you read a lot of thrillers, maybe it might be easier to guess the ending. I mean, like, you know what's gonna happen in the ending. It's just like a matter of like what ended up happening to like lead this person into this position. And then I think that's it. I think that's all my thoughts on it. I'll have to check my story graph when I park at work, but I don't think I read more than 100 pages today. That's my guess. It's very gloomy outside. I wasn't feeling it. I did work with Kristen a little bit to plan some of the books that we're putting on our 2025 TBR for the podcast, our podcast, Literary Liberation. So if I could podcast, bro. So we have some good series. We're debating whether or not we're going to do Game of Thrones this year or next year. But we put some good ones on there that I think are going to do well, but we also have to leave open slots for when some things really like pop off on Book Talk. We have to keep that in mind, unfortunately. It's very hard to predict though, and sometimes things aren't popular for that long. Like the trends in Book Talk are insane, how fleeting they are. I do think I'm going to try to read Quicksilver and see if it's anything that we can review for the podcast, because I have seen a lot of content around mainly like fan art, and whenever I see fan art, that usually means that it's doing pretty well. That's like my litmus test that I use to determine what's popping off on Book Talk. About 500 pages, which is kind of long. Watching a man struggle walking his dog. Thought he was gonna get decapitated by the leashes. By golly. Hopefully. Oh god. I'm already yawning. Tonight at work will be good. Probably won't though. That's your update. Thanks for watching the vlog.